So you want to own a poultry farm. Easy, right? Grab some chicks, toss them some feed, collect the eggs, sell the meat, and just watch the cash roll in. I mean, people eat chicken every single day. How hard can it really be? Here's the truth. The global poultry business pulls in hundreds of billions of dollars a year. Demand has never been higher, and yet poultry farms fail all the time. Farmers with decades of experience go broke. New investors dump their life savings into one flock and lose it all in a single weekend. The business that looks the simplest from the outside is actually one of the most brutal from the inside. So why do some farmers become millionaires while others go bankrupt? Why can one disease wipe out years of work overnight? And where does the real money actually come from? Let's build this thing from scratch and find out. First question, what kind of poultry farm are you even running? Because that one phrase covers totally different businesses. Broiler farming? That's raising chickens for meat. Layer farming? That's hens for eggs. There are also breeder farms and hatcheries, but let's keep it simple. We're focusing on the two most people actually get into, broilers and layers. And we're going to walk through what it really costs to build one, run one, and whether the numbers even make sense at the end of the year. Start with the land, and this is where most people make their first expensive mistake. They hunt for the cheapest plot they can find, buy it, and 6 months later figure out why it was so cheap. See, you can't just plop a commercial poultry farm anywhere. There are distance rules, how far you have to be from homes, schools, churches, other farms. In North Carolina, your poultry houses have to sit at least 500 feet from any home you don't own. Near a school or church? That jumps way up. In some states, you might need over 100 acres just to satisfy the legal buffers, even if you're only building 4 chicken houses. And that's just the rules. Practically speaking, your farm needs heavy-duty 3-phase power to run those giant ventilation fans. It needs a serious water source. It needs roads tough enough for big feed trucks. Rural land that looks like a bargain usually has none of that. So you buy cheap land for 60 grand. Then you find out the nearest power line is a mile away. That's another 80,000 to run it. The road needs reinforcing. You need a well. Suddenly, your cheap land costs 2 or 3 times the sticker price. Realistically, a viable site in the US runs you $150,000 to $300,000 once you add it all up. Now you build. And this is where things get serious. A modern chicken house isn't a barn. It's an engineered, climate-controlled building keeping thousands of animals alive in conditions that don't happen naturally. These things are around 500 feet long. And you're not running just one, you need at least 4 to be commercially viable. The buildings alone? Around $2 million just for the basic structure, and that's before you put anything inside. Then come the systems. Every house needs tunnel ventilation, huge exhaust fans that pull air through the whole building to cool the birds down, basically like a breeze on your skin. You need evaporative cooling pads, automated feeding lines, clean water lines, all of it. That's tens of thousands per house. And here's the one you can never skip, an emergency generator. A big diesel standby unit runs anywhere from 50 to 150 grand. You absolutely need it. I'll show you why in a minute. Add it all up for a 4-house broiler complex, you're looking at somewhere between $1.2 and over $2 million before you place a single bird. So let's talk birds. And here's a surprise. These aren't just generic farm chickens. They're precision-engineered genetic hybrids, developed by global breeding companies over decades. They're basically specialized tools. Day-old chicks cost 50 cents to $1 each. A 4-house complex holds 80 to 100,000 birds. So that's $40,000 to $50,000 just in chicks, every single time you start a new flock. And the breed you pick? It sets the ceiling on everything. Cheaper, lower-quality birds might save you money up front, but they eat more and grow slower. And that costs you way more across a whole flock than you ever saved. Now the big one, the cost that eats everything else alive. Feed. This is not a side expense. Feed is 50 to 70% of your total operating costs. Everything else, the building, the power, the labor, combined, it's less than what you spend on feed. If you don't understand feed, you don't understand this business, period. Poultry feed is mostly corn and soybean meal, and its price rides the global commodity markets. When corn spikes, your costs spike. One flock of 100,000 birds can burn through nearly $300,000 in feed. And this brings us to the single most important number on your farm, the feed conversion ratio, FCR. It's simple. How many kilos of feed does it take to make 1 kilo of bird? A good flock hits around 1.6. A poorly managed one hits 1.9 or 2. Sounds like a tiny difference, right? It's not. Run the numbers across millions of birds over a full year, and poor feed conversion can cost you hundreds of thousands of dollars compared to a well-run operation using the exact same genetics. That's how much this one number matters. Then there are utilities. Electricity is your biggest bill. Running all those fans in summer can cost thousands per month. And your water meter? That's your early warning system. If your birds suddenly drink less than yesterday, something is wrong. Good farm managers watch that meter like a doctor watches a patient's pulse. Now, back to that generator. Here's why it matters. Picture a house packed with tens of thousands of full-grown birds. Every bird throws off body heat. The only thing keeping that house cool is the fans running non-stop. Now imagine the power grid goes down on a 95-degree afternoon, and your generator doesn't kick in. Within 15-20 minutes, the temperature crosses the danger line. Within an hour, you can lose the entire house. That's up to $1 million of live inventory, gone, in less time than it takes to watch a movie. And this isn't hypothetical, it happens. That's why smart operators test their generators every single week. Okay, if you're finding this useful, hit that subscribe button and give the video a like. It genuinely helps the channel keep going. Thanks. Now let's talk about the cost nobody puts in their business plan, until it wrecks them. Disease. When you pack thousands of birds close together, one sick bird becomes a catastrophe fast. The scariest one? Bird flu. It can wipe out an entire flock in 24 to 48 hours. And when it's confirmed, the government doesn't give you options. They come in, wipe out every bird on the property, and lock the whole area down. In the big 2022 outbreak, the U.S. lost over 58 million birds. That's the largest in the country's history. So biosecurity isn't just a fence and a bottle of disinfectant. It's a whole system. Every truck, every person, every piece of gear that comes near the farm. And yeah, it costs money. But compared to one disease event, it's pocket change. The good news, the USDA actually shares the cost, reimbursing up to 75% of biosecurity upgrades. It's not charity, it's smart risk management. Alright, let's finally talk about money coming in. And on a contract broiler farm, the most common way people start, it works differently than you'd expect. Here's the deal. You provide the land, the buildings, the power, and the labor. The big company, think Tyson or Purdue, gives you the chicks, the feed, and the support. They own the birds. You just raise them. And you get paid based on how well your flock performs against other farmers nearby. A 4-house complex might bring in around $250,000 to $300,000 a year. Sounds great, but then reality hits. Electricity, propane, labor, repairs, insurance. Total operating costs, over $100,000. That leaves you around $175,000 in operating profit. But wait, you borrowed over $1 million to build this. Your loan payments? Around $110,000 a year. Set aside money for equipment that wears out, and you know what you're actually left with? Around $45,000. In a good year, working 7 days a week, owning a $1.5 million facility. That's not poverty, but it's definitely not the passive income dream this business gets sold as.
So here's the bottom line. A poultry farm isn't a cute place where chickens grow. It's a biological factory running on razor-thin margins, exposed to markets you can't control, depending on systems that can't fail, living right next to diseases that don't negotiate. The farmers who actually build wealth, they weren't lucky. They understood exactly what they were walking into, the costs, the risks, the daily grind, and they built something tough enough to survive when things went wrong. Because in this business, at some point, something always goes wrong. The only question that matters is, did you build to survive it? If you got value out of this, give it a like and subscribe if you haven't already. It means a ton, and it helps us keep making videos like this. Thanks for watching.